Greetings, salutations, hello! Today we're going to talk about the hair length required for starting dreadlocks. It's a super common question in that everyone wants to know, how long does my hair need to be to create dreadlocks? The hair length is going to play two roles. One being aesthetic, in that it's fairly obvious that the longer the hair you have, the longer your dreadlocks are going to be. Dreadlocks are always going to be shorter than the hair you start out with, so if you want really long dreadlocks, you're going to have really long hair to start out with. Usually, if someone has really long dreadlocks, they're dreadlocks that have grown long rather than have started long, because of simply how much hair is required to start dreadlocks that are super long. Why are dreadlocks shorter than the original hair? Well, that is because in dreadlocks, the hair does not grow straight down, it's kind of crushed up and compressed, so you're going to lose length in two ways. You're going to lose a little bit of length when you first start out, so if you're going to go with a backcomb or a twist and rip, you're going to twist and rip up and lose a bit of length. You're going to backcomb up and lose a little bit of length. It's not usually going to be a huge amount of length lost on day one, but it is still going to be slightly shorter than the length you started out with. Where the length is usually lost is when the dreadlocks mature. So when you start dreadlocks, they're kind of loose and all over the place. Over the following months, they will tighten and compress, and as they do that, you're going to lose some length. Different people are going to lose different amounts of length. This is all covered in detail in my shrinkage video if you'd like to know more about the process and the loss of length going on there. That will be linked down in the description. But what it really boils down to is that, the dreadlocks are going to be shorter than the hair you start out with. So when most people start dreadlocks and they want kind of medium to long length dreadlocks, you're going to have to start out with pretty long hair to get that from the get-go. The second role that the hair length is going to play in starting the dreadlocks, first being aesthetic, second is going to be just the general forming of the dreadlocks, in that longer hair is better. The longer the hair, the more knots you can form. So regardless of method, longer hair is better. So with backcomb, longer hair, you can be able to backcomb in more knots. Twist and rip, longer hair, you can be able to twist and rip in more knots. Even neglect, the longer the hair, the more movement, the more space you have for knots. So longer hair is going to be better for starting the dreadlocks, because you're going to be able to get more knots in there, and they're going to be stronger and less likely to wash out. Longer hair, more knots, less likely for the dreadlocks to just fall away at the start, which you don't want. And longer hair and longer dreadlocks are going to mature faster. There's more stuff moving around, there's more stuff going on. So, how much hair do you actually need to have? This is going to depend on the method that you have chosen for your dreadlocks. If you're going to go with just a neglect freeform method, then you don't really need to have any specific length, in that for neglect freeform natural, I recommend just stopping brushing, stopping conditioning, and then waiting for the hair to knot. The hair is not going to knot until it gets to a certain length, but it's not worth continuing brushing and conditioning the hair until it gets to that length. You just stop brushing and conditioning, and then when the hair gets long enough, it's long enough, you'll start knotting, you'll start your neglect process. Where hair length is important is for things such as the backcomb and the twist and rip method. If you try and start those with really short hair, so like really short hair, you're just technically not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to get the hair across from the sides of the sections and still be able to form a knot. So for those methods, I really recommend having at least 6 inches of hair. Different people are going to recommend different lengths. I've seen recommendations of 3, 4, 5 inches. I've seen recommendations of shoulder length or longer. I think my 6-inch recommendation comes comfortably in the middle, in that with 6 inches of hair, you're going to be able to get enough knots into your hair, whether you have thick hair or thin hair. 6 inches is just a good place to be. So I personally would not twist and rip or backcomb hair that is shorter than 6 inches. I'd just wait until it gets 6 inches and then you'd be good to go. In what I've gone through here, I've kind of created another question, in that I said earlier that the longer the hair, the faster the dreadlocks will mature and develop. So then you're kind of at a crossroads. Do you wait until your hair is longer and therefore will create longer dreadlocks and will mature faster, or do you start your dreadlocks off straight away when they're only at 6 inches and they will go slower? My recommendation is to start the dreadlocks off as soon as possible, because while longer hair will develop and mature a little bit faster than the shorter hair would, it does not mature and develop that much faster to require you to wait for it to be longer. While it is tempting to wait until your hair is longer to create longer dreadlocks, because a lot of people want longer dreadlocks, I personally think it is better to start the dreadlocks as soon as possible. You can sit around and wait a year for your hair to be longer, and therefore you'd be able to create slightly longer dreadlocks. Remember, even if your hair grows 6 inches, it's not going to result in 6-inch longer dreadlocks, because you don't get the equivalent out. You might get like 3-4 inches extra. Meanwhile, if you'd have started the dreadlocks that year earlier, they'd be mature by that point, and they would then be growing out as dreadlocks, and you'd be good to go. An added bonus with starting dreadlocks as soon as possible, other than, you know, you get to the mature stage earlier, is that the loops and the lumps and the bumps that not everyone really wants, you know, the kind of wildness, those lumps and bumps mainly occur in the original length of hair. So you can wait until your hair is down to your knees and start dreadlocks with them, and you're going to have loops and lumps and bumps in all of that hair. Whereas if you'd started off with just 6 inches, you'd have kind of loopy, lumpy, bumpy 6 inches, and then it'd be nice and smooth, and you would have less loopy, lumpy, and bumpiness to deal with. And also it's just less of a learning curve if you jump in as soon as possible, because obviously there's less hair there to have to learn to wash and to dry, and less hair to separate. So there we go. That is how much hair you need to start dreadlocks. For natural, just any length, just go. For most other methods, specifically backcomb and twist and rip, I recommend having at least 6 inches, because at 6 inches or more, you're going to be past the point where you're at serious risk of the dreadlocks just washing straight out. You know, less than 6 inches, you're not going to be able to get many knots. 6 inches or more, good to go. And then I also recommend starting the dreadlocks as soon as possible, rather than waiting for the hair to grow. It is better to let the dreadlocks grow and be maturing and ready to go, and you'll be already learning what you're doing, rather than wait specifically for the hair to grow before you start the dreadlocks. If you've already got long hair, then that's fine. You know, you don't want to cut the hair down to 6 inches just to not have as much to deal with. But if you're starting off with shorter hair, just get them started, it's best. If you have any questions, comments, queries about starting dreadlocks, dreadlocks in general, hair length, things of that nature, you can either contact me via the comment section below this video, down here on YouTube, or you can tweet me at twitter.com/lazy_dreads, or you can join the Facebook page at www.facebook.com/lazydreads. As always, you can find all my stuff on lazydreads.com, from starting dreadlocks to maintaining dreadlocks to removing dreadlocks. If you like this video, click the thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me in the future, you can subscribe. As always, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Farewell!